But it's a commercial solution that's basically novel or innovative in the marketplace as well. Like hot. It's hot and new.
Yeah.
Just like Taylor Swift. Is she new?
She's not new.
Who's new right now?
We're old, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's new? Apata.
Apata.
Who's that?
It's Rose and Bruno Mars.
Rose, there you go.
That's brand new. Boom.
Brand new.
Hit the market. Hi.
Back with another Act for Dummies.
Yep, that's right.
And we're going to be talking about some stuff that's pretty interesting.
We're going to talk about commercial solutions opening. Another video, we'll talk about OTs.
All right. So let's start with CSO.
CSO.
Stands for Commercial
Yep.
Solution Opening or Solutions
I think
Opening?
there's an S in there.
Is it?
Yeah. Solutions opening.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the biggest misunderstandings is with the CSO is that people think it's a contract. So when they say, well, let's do this with a CSO, they think that that's the whole process of ordering something or requesting for proposals and then getting the contract. But the CSO is actually, really just like a broad agency announcement, which is in part 35 of the FAR.
BA.
Yeah, that's right.
BAA.
BA. And it's basically, so one of the most common ways you solicit for proposals to come in is an RFP, which is,
Request for proposal.
That's right.
Which is, I was talking to someone today about CSOs, and they're like, what's the difference between that and an RFI or an RFP?
Yeah.
What is the difference?
The difference between an RFI and an RFP is an RFI is, do you know, actually?
RFI is a request for information.
Yep.
Which means you're just gathering information, doing market research.
Yep.
An RFP, you're actually asking them to include prices on what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And the government can select it.
Yep.
And it becomes the contract.
That's it, man.
Look at me.
Look at you. You've graduated.
Yeah. Just sort of dumb now.
So an RFP, different from an RFQ. An RFP, you're asking for actual offers. And then you accept those offers. Yeah.
So how do those differ from a CSO? Why is that a different thing?
So a CSO was a vehicle kind of outside the federal acquisition regulations. It was incorporated into the DFARS.
Okay.
But you can use a CSO to solicit offers that you award contracts, and that contract can be a FAR contract now for Defense Department because it's in the DFARS.
Okay.
And since it's in the DFARS, the regulation for the CSO is set up to where you can award a procurement contract from a CSO.
Okay.
You can also, which is how CSO started outside of the FAR, you can award another type of contract that's not a procurement contract, like an other transaction.
Okay.
So a CSO, different from an RFP, it's basically like a broad agency announcement is also a solicitation. RFPs are in part 15 of the FAR. A broad agency announcement is for research and development. Okay. Usually with a request for proposals, you send the RFP out, you get proposals in, and you're selecting one company. There's a one winner, right? There's a competition, only one wins.
Okay.
What broad agency announcement is for basic and applied research. So usually with an RFP, you kind of know what you want. You're getting a contract for services or a product. With a broad agency announcement, it's for something like researching a particular problem that the government has. So they specify in the BAA what they want, like what their issue is, what their problem, and then a whole bunch of companies come in, and instead of proposals, just to show kind of the researchy side of a BAA, they call it white papers, kind of like
white papers,
like academic, kind of hoity-toity. So the white papers come in, and these are all companies that are proposing to offer something for this research and development type problem. It's broad. It's like an announcement. Come one, come all. Send me all your white papers. And it's really kind of like the R&D phase. Okay. So it's kind of distinguished from the very basic offer acceptance consideration contracting. Now, it's still an offer acceptance consideration. You're going to engage in an R&D contract.
Okay.
I believe you can award more than one with a BAA. So the commercial solutions opening really started because of the shift in the government leverage with the commercial marketplace. So in the 1960s, for example, the Department of Defense and NASA and others, the funding dollars that the government had really drove a lot of innovation for the government. So the funding dollars went into labs, went into like we talked about the Silicon Valley area in some of our other videos. You know, that kind of money really helped the development of the microchip, the microprocessor. And fun tip, the microprocessor was developed by a company called Fairchild Electronics. Only Fairchild made the microchip. It's very expensive, mainly purchased at that time by the government for government research projects and for NASA and the DoD mainly. It was expensive, though, for the DoD. The unit price was high, so they decided to compete. It was a procurement decision to compete. But who's going to compete? It was just Fairchild. Well, a couple disgruntled folks from Fairchild split ways. They knew how to make a microchip, and they started up their own company. Dell came from Fairchild, I think.
Like all of the tech companies, the big
came
ones
from Fairchild?
I think.
Really? Wow, yeah.
I think there's like a family tree of like Fairchild down to all of
It had all those startups.
big tech names that we know and
Yeah.
love.
I think that could be attributed in large part to this procurement decision to compete.
Wow.
So with the competition, you not only had startups, which created the culture that we see today in Silicon Valley, but you also have the lowering of prices, right? So that's kind of how the Defense Department, how the government controlled the market at that time. And then a lot of the DoD, like through DARPA, the developments that came out of those labs and those companies went back to the market. You know, so something that had originally military application or NASA application ended up being something that was reconfigured for consumers. In that sense, then, government called the shots, and government specified what they wanted pretty much. And so now we have this era where either through maybe overregulation, you would say, in the government, industry didn't work as much with government. Government didn't control industry as much. We also didn't adopt emerging technology as like we should have. So we have this situation now where the major investments in innovations in emerging technology have come from the companies themselves. They've invested billions of dollars in the advancement of things like artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And so
the government's behind now. Instead of leading the way and saying this is where microchips are going, they're like behind the companies now.
They're just now at this point, the industry players have started the innovation. Now the government's a customer.
Yeah.
And so what we have now, instead of like, so the R&D, so if you compare a BAA with a CSO, maybe we can use the two vehicles as a way to differentiate or to show that difference. In a BAA, the government's calling the research, basic and applied. They're still calling that's an era of them still calling the shots. And we still use BAAs. The CSO represents that other side of now the government is just a customer. And so it's like a BAA, but this time it's saying, we want an innovation that already exists, that you've spent your research dollars on, and now we're going to buy.
So is that kind of the definition? I hear the word commercial a lot in circles. Does that just mean like off the shelf, like a product that already exists?
Yeah.
It's already being used?
Yeah. Like, and there's even a subset of commercial, like commercial off the shelf.
Okay.
COTS.
Yeah.
And that basically means anything that is already readily available. Like literally, like you're just pulling off the shelf, like bulk supply. But yeah, commercial is something that's available in the market for non-governmental purposes. Okay. That's like just a basic nutshell definition. That could be a product or a service.
Okay.
But for a CSO, this is the weird part about a CSO. It's still in like researchy. So it still has that R&D type flavor to it. It's just already commercial. So what does that mean? Like R&D is for stuff that doesn't exist, you want to develop. So how can you combine something in the commercial marketplace already but still make it researchy? So that's what they call a commercial innovation. And a commercial innovation is, to meet that definition, this is in the statute for this, because if you're outside the FAR, you have to find some other way you have to have some other kind of authority to use, right? So Congress gives most agencies procurement authority. And when you have procurement authority, you are limited by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. You have to use the FAR.
Okay.
So if you're going to go outside the FAR, you're either going to be in trouble or you're going to show, I didn't use procurement authority. I used another kind of authority. So originally, the other authority was, it's still out there. It's 10 USC, I think, 34 or 58. We can fact check if I'm wrong. Bing, 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 bing. So 3458 was the statute for CSOs, and it's super simple. It's just like one line. It's in paragraph A. It basically says the DoD has the authority to enter in a competitive process for commercial innovations. I think it mentions a peer review.
That's researchy.
Yeah, it is. Peer review. Scientists are reviewing. And that there's a peer review with BAA too, so it's a lot like BAAs. So what a commercial innovation is, the statutes define as well. And by the way, this whole thing is also in DFARS. So they added it to the DFARS. It's DFARS 212.70, I think. So that means that you can actually use a CSO and crank out a FAR contract. So it basically put the CSO into the scope of procurement authority. So if all you have is procurement authority, you can now use CSOs. You don't need separate, yeah. But the DoD had CSO authority, so they could have done that outside the FAR. But it's just a solicitation. So if you use the CSO outside the FAR, you still have to come up with an outside the FAR contract authority. Otherwise, you got to do procurement contracts under the FAR. So
that's what our next video is going to be about.
That's what our next video is. TBD. So a lot of times you hear CSO to OT.
Yeah.
The CSO is the solicitation. The OT is the contract. A CSO is not a contract. So if you think about the terminology between BAA and CSO, the BA is a broad agency announcement. It's announcing a problem, a research problem that they have, and then it's announcing this and then wanting proposals to come in. Mm-hmm. CSO carries the same spirit. It just uses a different word. Commercial solutions opening. They're opening up this problem, and they want commercial solutions to their problem.
Why wouldn't they just use a BAA then?
So one of the reasons why is the BAA is technically limited in Part 35 for research and development, like for R&D dollars. So it's for basic and applied research.
So it's for research. CSO is for researchy.
It's researchy, but the CSO is basically when you want to go ahead and buy existing commercial items. So no more research. Again, going back to the example we had of kind of where the government was and where the government is now. With the BAA, you're asking for the development of something. With a CSO, you're asking for something already developed.
Okay. So maybe it would be helpful to define a commercial innovation.
Yeah. Commercial innovation is defined in both the statute and the DFARS. There's two definitions. You can either meet one of these two definitions. One is that it is a commercial solution. I'm paraphrasing, so it's, you can look at the exact terminology, but it's a commercial solution that's basically novel or innovative in the marketplace as well. So it's something that is commercially available, but it's new to the market.
Okay.
Like hot. It's hot and new.
Yeah.
Just like Taylor Swift. Is she new?
She's not new.
Who's new right now?
We're old, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's new? Apata.
Who's
that?
It's Rosé and Bruno Mars.
Rosé, there you go.
That's brand new. Boom.
Brand new.
Hit the market.
Okay.
Hot stuff. So now that limits a lot of stuff, right? So, the other definition of commercial innovation, though, is a lot more interesting. It's a commercial product that is new. The second definition is the application of a commercial product, where the application of that to the government is new. So we use the example of if there was an agency who just used televisions that were like tube, what are those, tube TVs?
Tube.
Yeah. And they wanted something to just hang on their wall. They were sick of tube TVs. Like, let's get flat screens. Do those exist? And so they put on their CSOs, we want a TV that we can hang on our wall. The reality is, like, okay, guys, this has been in the market for a while. But they put that in their statement of objectives. Statement of objectives is a great way to put a CSO out. Because for an opening, it's a sue. Okay. You don't want to put a whole statement of work or performance work statement in a CSO, because you're just asking for a problem for a commercial solution. So you put your objectives out there and you say, we want a TV we can hang on the wall. We don't know if one exists. We have these TVs that go way out there. And so you have a whole bunch of companies, Samsung, who've been doing this for decades. Well, according to that definition, if it's new to that agency, it's a commercial innovation.
So
because
it's agency by agency?
I think so. I think you can say that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So even if it's not new to DARPA, but it's new to the Army.
Okay.
Yeah, it's new to that particular office or the requirement activity. So as long as it's new, you can award a contract. And what that contract is, you can you can award a FAR-based contract or a non-FAR-based contract. Now, if you award a FAR-based contract from a CSO, though, you just got to make sure you follow everything in the FAR. One of the requirements, for example, is that your solicitation has to go through what they call the GPE, the Government Port of Entry. That's like the bulletin board for the contract.
Okay.
And that is, you know what that is? The website where you...
Is either GSA or SAM.gov?
Yeah, which one?
SAM.gov.
That's it?
Yes.
You got it. SAM.gov. So SAM.gov, you don't have to use... And, of course, the type of commercial... Sometimes if you're trying to reach non-traditional and startups...
Yeah, they're not on SAM.gov.
They're not on SAM.gov. And OTs are specifically targeted for non-traditionals and startups, stuff like that. So if you're going to go the OT route, it doesn't make sense to go to SAM.gov anyway.
Okay.
But if you're not really caring about... Let's say the Samsung example, right? A lot of commercial companies have been around for a while, maybe even have a lot of government contracts. They can still offer commercial innovations. Okay. Maybe DFARS is the best bet.
Okay. And so you don't have to put it out on SAM.gov. Where do you put it? You just put it on Facebook?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. LinkedIn. Why not? I've mentioned that in conferences before. I was like, what is that? Prove me wrong. Mm-hmm. Prove me wrong. So it's like you can post your solicitation on LinkedIn. Prove me wrong. Nice. Why not? Why not do it, right? Yeah. The whole point of a solicitation, and this is the opening part of a CSO. It's a literal come one, come all. Okay. And it used to be like you put it on, the government would put it on in a newspaper or like a bulletin board. Yeah. With the advent of the internet, now we had a website. SAM.gov became our website. But SAM.gov is not necessarily a great bulletin board anymore. Yeah. LinkedIn is.
LinkedIn's probably pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, maybe GitHub. People use GitHub too. X. Yeah. Why not? What's the space on X? Can you put you think you put, well, if you're just putting a
link to it,
or if you're just putting a couple paragraphs down for your CSO, like here's our problem, 2 paragraphs, who can do this? Write us. You could put it on X.
Okay.
People make the false claim that you can't put government solicitations in public places because it's got like information in it that you don't want to read. They get really worried about the stuff you put on.
Isn't that the whole point of this, though, is to put it in public places?
Exactly. This is why our president is calling for common sense, right? Yeah. It's like the whole point of a solicitation is full and open.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to put classified information in your CSO on X or LinkedIn, that's no different than you going to Union Station, downtown D.C., and shouting out a whole bunch of classified information. If you're stupid enough to do that, you're stupid enough to put it in a CSO. Just don't. So that's a CSO. I mean, there is a peer review process, so it's still a solicitation where you have to evaluate the offers coming in. There's not just one winner necessarily. There's a lot of freedom to just award to multiple people. What TradeWinds will do is instead of asking for a white paper, there's a TradeWinds feature that's called the Solutions Marketplace. Yeah. And they will ask for, in their CSO, TradeWinds Solutions Marketplace is a CSO. That's basically all it is. It's not a contract.
Collection of CSOs, maybe?
Just one CSO.
Just one.
TradeWinds Solutions Marketplace is a CSO. Yeah. And it's just because they're asking for videos, they set up a whole website and they made it part of TradeWinds.
Yeah.
But it's not a contract. It's literally a opening for companies to bring in. Yeah, and it specifies in TradeWinds, like you can go to the website and actually look at the CSO document, and they post it on SAM.gov.
Okay.
And they tell you to post, instead of white papers, to post a 5-minute video. That is a legal form of solicitation. It's a commercial solutions opening. The videos that come in and they get selected have gone through the competitive process of a CSO. So those videos that make it, that are in the TradeWinds Solutions Marketplace, are awardable. They've joined the club. You can just any agency can go in if they like it and do a direct award. They can do a FAR contract too because they post the TradeWinds on SAM.gov.
So the competition is over then.
Competition's over. If you make the Solutions Marketplace, you have gone through. There's a peer review process. We talked about that peer review.
Oh, okay.
So the peer reviewers, they look at the videos.
Yes.
And they do their selection. And there's a lot of videos that don't make it. They're like, nah, this is not really what we want. Mm-hmm. The ones that make it enter the marketplace and become awardable.
And anybody in the DoD can award.
Anybody in the DoD can award.
Not outside of the DoD, though.
I think it's possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's at least closer.
Yeah, it's closer.
Okay.
There's a little bit of paperwork involved for interagency contracting.
Okay.
Tradewin Solutions Marketplace is set up according to statutory authority to use CSOs, and because it was added to the FAR, procurement authority. So it's just a very creative way to do a CSO, and it's an example of the flexibility that CSO provides.
That's so smart.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think that covers CSOs. I guess we'll probably talk about OTs next. So join us in our next video for OT talk.
See you next time.
Bye.